This is Algebra 2 at Trig. We're working on the review for 1B. Working on the third side, starting with number 8. This is the calculators are allowed. We can use a calculator here. Write an equation of the quadratic function that meets these requirements. A vertex in the second quadrant, quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4, with a range of 6 and up, and it has a vertical stretch. Vertical stretch means we're going to pick a number that's going to be bigger than 1. Might as well write this in vertex form. We need to move to the left, so that's going to be plus. Moving to the left to get underneath quadrant 2, any amount that you want to. And then we have to go up 6. This has to be your K. That would be the equation. That would be a vertical stretch. It would get your vertex in quadrant 2 by going to the left and up. You have to go up to 6 if that's going to be your range. Here we need a vertical stretch, an axis symmetry of 2, and a reflection. We need 2 to be our axis of symmetry. So we're going to do x minus 2. That would give us a line of symmetry that is positive 2. We need a shrink, so we need an a value that is less than 1, and a reflection over the x-axis is going to make that a negative 1/3. There are more than one possible answer of an equation that meets those requirements. We're going to convert this into standard form. So the first thing we need to write is our x plus 1 squared must be written twice. So this becomes x times x. We use FOIL. X times x is x squared. X times 1 is x. 1 times x is x. 1 times 1 is 1. We'll collect our like terms. Notice you cannot distribute that 2 through. You cannot call it x squared 1 times 1 because you'll never get to 2x in the middle. So distribute. So negative 2x squared minus 4x minus 2. And of course you plus the other 3 with that. So there we have it. F of x equals negative 2x squared minus 4x plus 1. Now we're in intercept form. Well, essentially we're doing the same thing. We're going to use FOIL. So we're going to multiply the x times the x and the x times the 2. X times x is x squared. X times 2 is 2x. Then 1 times the x and 1 times the 2. Collect our like terms. And then we distribute. And that is our new f of x for this equation. Here we have a quadratic function. We're going to write it, or we're going to make a quadratic function in standard form. Here we can use technology. So we're going to take our calculator. I always suggest to hit second, then the plus button, then 7, 1, 2. And that will clear your calculator. I like to say that it'll clean the calculator, make a lot less errors. We're going to go to stat. You've got to hit the stat button. We're looking for edit. You're going to put your x values in list 1, Now your y values in list 2. So we have to arrow over. We typed those in to L2, list number 2. Now these are our points. These points, -4, -3, 0, -2, 1, 7, are going to make some sort of parabola. It's looking like, it could possibly go this way. That was horrible. It could possibly come that way. It may not go that way. That looked like a stretch. Okay, I'm betting it swings this way. But let's find out. We don't know just by the points. So we're going to say stat. Hit the stat button. Go over to calc. So use your arrows. Go over to calc. Go down to number 4, or actually 5, quadratic regression. Quad, R-E-G, quadratic regression. And your screen might be like this, or your screen might have multiple rows here, and you got to arrow down to calculate. Here you just got to hit enter. And there is our equation. The A value is 1.75, the B value is 7.25, and the C value is -2. Y equals 1.75x squared plus 7.25x minus 2. And that's going to be made to go through these 3 points. We used a calculator to help us do that. Okay, the next one we have here. A ball is launched upwards with an initial velocity of 64 feet per second from a platform which is 50 feet up in the air. Use this function to help us do this. Your calculator to answer the following questions. How many seconds until the maximum height is reached? So think about what's going on. We have a maximum at 50. We're going to come up, curve around, and drop back down. This is a parabola. Negative tells us it's opening downwards. How many seconds until we reach maximum height? X is your seconds. So we want to find where that line of symmetry is. So I'm going to go to y equals, type in our equation, negative, you got to use the negative button, 16x squared plus 64x plus 50. Notice I'm typing in x because that's all the calculator is going to do. We can look at our table, second graph, and see if we find a repeating value. The y values repeat. So that means the middle number is your vertex. That's an appropriate way to find your answer if you have repeating y values. So that's our vertex. So x equals 2 seconds. That gave us our maximum y value. What is the maximum height? Y equals 114 feet. What is another way you could figure this out? We could use x equals negative b over 2a to determine the axis of symmetry. Plug that in to find the maximum. How long does it take it to reach the ground? Now when we look here, we don't see the ground. We don't see y is 0. It happens after 4 seconds, but somewhere before 5 seconds. So I notice we're going up to 114. So I'm going to do Windows, go up to a number bigger than 114, and I'm going to graph it. I'm noticing that this is hitting right there. I want to figure out the x's that take us to get to right there. So I'm going to do second trace down to the 0. I'm looking for the zeros of the function. Hit enter. It wants us to be left of that answer. So anywhere over here is left of that answer. Hit enter. Now it needs to be right bound, right of that answer. This is a little harder to see, but if I'm in negative wise, then I'm going to be to the right. And you can see I get my other triangle at the top. So some calculators will show vertical lines coming down. Yes, the only thing you need to do here is hit the enter again, because there's only one answer inside that domain. And it tells us that we're getting the value of 4.67. We're going to round that to 4.67. Now some people get confused by what this value means. Negative 2e minus 11. That's not e for error. This is actually scientific notation, meaning move 11 decimal spots to the left, 0.00000000000 negative 2, or 2. And that's because the calculator is focusing on the x, not so much on the y. So this is accurate. That is an approximation. It is exactly 0 at this spot. On the flip side, we're doing a revenue question. The store sells 50 DVDs at $140 each. For each $10 decrease, we're going to sell more DVDs. So we know that revenue equals the price times the number of items. That's the formula we're using. So price is $140, and we are decreasing the price by $10 multiple times. And we are selling the number of items. We're selling 50 DVDs. And if we decrease the price, we will add more DVDs. So we're going to say 5 more DVDs multiple times. Every time we subtract 10, we're going to add more DVDs. So that's our equation. So we'll clear our calculator. We'll go y equals, we can clear that equation out of there. I would suggest to do second, then plus, then 7, 1, 2. So now we have cleaned the calculator. We know what to expect. We're all at the same spot. So I'm going to do parenthesis 140 minus 10x, parenthesis 50 plus 5x. Go to my table and scroll down here. It looks like in the very beginning, at 140 and 50, we were making 7,000. And as we keep going, the highest price, not very exciting, is 7,200 when we change it by an x of 2. How much should the store charge? Well, when x equals 2 is our answer. How much should it charge? We need to use the price portion. So 140 minus 10 two different times. That's 140 minus $20. That's $120 would give us our maximum value. What is the maximum value? Well, we saw, looking at our calculator, our maximum value is 7,200. That happened when we had 140 minus 10 times 2 and 50 plus 5 times 2. So this came out to 120. This comes out to 50 plus 10, and that is 7,200. How many DVDs would you be selling? Well, we would use the DVD portion of the formula. 50 plus 5 times 2, that's 50 plus 10, that is 60. We had calculated that already here. 60 DVDs. Last question. Okay, the Algebra 2 teachers are selling pocket protectors. Ooh, very useful. To high school students. The table shows data from the last 4 years of the price charged for the pocket protector. That's the price is X. And the total revenue is Y. So there's X, there's Y. It's a table over the last 4 years. I'm going to go to my calculator. Second plus 712. That clears my calculator. That cleans it up. I'm going to go to Stat, Edit, and put my X values in L1. Put my Y values in L2. Notice the number of X values has to match the number of Y values. We can go to second. Nope, sorry, take that back. We're going to go to Stat, over to Calc, down to Quadratic Regression. Some calculators will have multiple lines. You got to move down to Calc, Calculate. I can just hit Enter. Quadratic model is negative 85.23 to the nearest hundredth. That's why we use 2 decimal spots. X squared plus 438.11 x minus 88.26. How much would we expect to earn if we charged $3? Well, we could plug 3 into our equation. So this is one way we could do it. Negative 85.23, 3 squared, plus 438.11 times 3 minus 8826. So cleared it out. 0.85.23 times 3 squared plus 438.11 times 3 minus, got to put a minus there, 88.26. So we're going to make $459. So $3 would be in between these two amounts, and 459 is in between these two amounts. So that makes sense. Seem to be onto something here. Good luck.